Love-based and fearless. That's the core. That's the center. How we are in our life as a center. As a core person. Life conspires to strengthen you in that. And with that comes grace, abundance. There's something about being present in your loving, which life becomes transparent. You always see the truth then. Does that mean you don't have the daily fluctuations and ups and downs and little catches in the ego or confusions? No, it doesn't. It means you still have the same fluctuations in life. Those don't go away, but how you're present with them changes. So, in this reflexive relationship with life, there's you as a human being. You're human and you're a being. So that human being, you have it all there. It's all present. So, in a sense, when you're born, when you come into life, you come into a scenario that is a whole piece. And you move through it and don't realize that you're doing that. You think life happens to you, and it does in a way. But as we go along, we become more conscious and begin to realize that life is meeting us, that our soul's approaching us, as Steiner said, from the horizon. So we're always meeting ourselves in everything we do. So what we become conscious of is our love is meeting us. It looks like a tragedy. It looks like an injury. It looks like an abandonment. It looks like confusion or doubt. But it's life meeting us. It's us meeting us through life. So that's the basis. And so when we're scenario planning, in a sense, we're just becoming conscious of what is already in the fabric, what is already there. So here we are at this moment in the Course where we're in ourselves and involving ourselves in this writing process. And I suggest you just embrace it and start writing and using the writing as reflectiveness, and sometimes it'll come out really, really nice writing that you would want to, turn into any project. And then there's the stuff that doesn't seem to be much, or the poetic stuff. This is a reflexive process. You're dialoguing with yourself through the writing. So it's moving along that way. So when you say, well, I'm going to do a scenario for my life, like if I look 30 years or 10 years into the future and start saying, what could the world be like? We already have a backdrop because we've done this scenario work for the Oxfam project, and so we have these scenarios that are the backdrop, and this is the way the world, we've rounded up the world in different ways in the future, and these are things that are happening, and some of them are miraculous and some of them are tragic, and some of them are the result of multinationals and their shenanigans, and it's all the backdrop. And so then there's you contexted in that. So when in a sense, when you do the scenario of your life, see, it's with that as a backdrop. And so, and by doing your scenario, you're preparing yourself. See, so this scenario becomes a self-preparation. The way reflexivity works, when you're already prepared, when you've already done the process, the reality is different. So in a sense, the scenario process is beginning to resolve itself as you make the scenario. So when you do a worst case scenario, it's, I'm just cleaning up my shadow. See, let me just lay it out there, and the world's coming apart at the seams, and it's all reflecting that internal drama. See, our shadow is, we've been around a while, so inside of us is eternity, and all the ways we moved out on our own trajectory of life to fulfill what we are, and how we've gotten caught in our reflection and think that's important and thought that's who we are, and started collaborating with everybody to make it so, make it in that agreement. So we've been doing this. So we run our own dark side out, in a sense. We run our own, what are our own, do we have our own conspiracies inside of us? Are we conspiring to keep ourselves off balance? Are we conspiring to keep ourselves worried about resources? Are we conspiring to do that? So we do our own dark side, and by doing so, we begin to, and by writing and reflecting on it, it's not to give it power, but to dissolve it. There's, we started out this with, a piece quote on this week's lesson, and it goes like, even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me. What happens? With love like that, it lights up the whole sky. What a great statement. You see, life doesn't owe us anything. See, there's this light of the sun, there's the light of our soul. And so, life doesn't owe us anything. See, if we think it owes it something, we're debtors. We're in poverty. We're owed. See, we're taking the short change. Because life will just give us everything, and it does. It gives us what we are. And so, it gives us what we are in a way that it supports us in this process. So life is always a scenario to bring you more fully into this basis of loving and fearlessness. Because in that you can see through anything. You always can see the truth.